lecture. So, as in the last class, we were having a little discussion on the, or rather, it was more one way. We were talking about the preliminary estimates, how these estimates are being done, and what are the reasons for which these estimates are being done. And basically, we were looking at the CPWD norms. We're looking at the CPWD norms, and other thing was on the sanctioning of estimates. Basically, any work which you do, whether it's in a private company or it is a government, you will have to wait for sanctions, except when it is a proprietary firm where you are the boss, where you can do whatever you want with your money. However, even if you are having your own company, you will find that you're going to have an accounting, or you are going to be accountable to somebody. You will be accountable to somebody, and yeah. So this is something a little about the sanctioning of estimates. So please go through the CPWD manual to understand what sort of powers are there for various people to sanction. And the other thing is, all the areas where estimates are being made are also mentioned in the CPWD manual. If you are going for any private company, any company for the matter, you will have your own standards for getting sanctions, and like how to get sanctions, what are the prerequisites for getting a sanction, and who has the power to sanction. All these things are already available, or are all available in the I mean, if it's a private company, you will have your own norms. As we were talking earlier, most of these are nowadays being done by ERP systems, okay, like SAP. So these ERP systems will have the workflow built into them for sanctioning various estimates or bills. Today we'll have a look at the construction industry, the labor force which is involved in the construction industry. So this is a very general topic, and I'm sure that each of you will have experienced at least one part of this in any part of your life. Okay, so labor force is one of the most important, or it is the driving force. And I was just thinking about the state of like affairs. Now, in case you are going to, if you are going to be in a company for around 20 years, and you have this habit of going to office at odd hours, like we were talking in stores. If you want to make an inspection, you don't tell that you're going for an inspection. You suddenly go and stand there for an inspection. So suppose you are that kind of a person who likes to go on a Saturday, maybe on Vinayak Chaturthi, you like to come to office. Who will you employ? A person who is, say, 35 or 36 years old like me, with a family, who says I have to have some time with the kids? Or will you prefer one of those enthusiastic people who are just freshers, maybe like you after 1 year, wanting to learn a lot, and who don't mind being in the company? Definitely the second one. Now the problem comes, the second one is today, say 22. Around 15 years from then, he also becomes 37. He is also having a wife and child, or husband and child, whatever as the case may be. So what happens to that person? So basically, this is something which is a reality even in the construction industry. The moment you start to get, you start to have other things which you consider as important, immediately your value seems to come down in the industry. So I'll encourage each one of you, as each of you are going to enter into the construction industry, please bear it in mind and see why you are going to be an asset to your company. The second thing is, we are going to look at the relationship between the employer and the construction laborer. We are also going to look at some of the laws which are enacted to protect the labor force. So here are some photos of construction workers. So anyway, look at this scenario. this person is definitely working at least above the first floor, slab or first floor, because you can see the slab there. We don't know at what level he is working, but you can definitely say he is working on the, standing on the edge. Okay, the person who's on the right side of your screen. So there is no safety measure which has been taken. If suppose he falls down, he is going to break a hand. For one month if he's in cast, who's going to pay his bill? Who's going to keep him? And he is also one of the cases who's going to become a spent force. Maybe if he breaks his leg, he will not be able to stand on height. He may not be able to afford the quality treatment which others who have money are able to have. So this man's life is going to get ruined. Okay. So this is a reality, or this is one of the reasons why we have to look at safety. So you can have a look at this also. And the other important aspect in Indian context is child labor. So this is a photo which was taken from the Hindu. In one of the Commonwealth Games, they found these people in the construction site. Now we don't know whether they're just playing in the construction site or whether they have been doing some work. But the truth is, if you go to any maybe a slight a village or some place, it still is still happening. I remember visiting one of the mining areas in India. So the people used to climb on top of the dumpers and push the coal away from the dumper. And small children, right from the age 2 or 3, they are all helping pick up rocks and put it, I mean, like clay, coal, and put it into sacks. So these children are going to get affected because they are not being given an opportunity to learn, and also they are more vulnerable to many of the health hazards. For instance, in that coal dust area, the average life expectancy is around 13 years. You can be at the most 13 years old. If you're 25, you're damn sure you're dead, leaving behind a wife and children. And yeah, not child, it's wife and children. That's the truth. This is another photograph of the workforce. Probably this workforce was waiting for its pay because they are in full uniform. But this sort of scenario occurs where people are looking for jobs also. In many of the cases, the labor force is viewed as a liability. Liability is something which drains your resources. In one of the projects, there was a strike. I think I already told you this before, but I'll repeat it. So what happens is, one group of, the next day was the payday. People are all standing in line. One group was saying, no, we came, you didn't give us work. The other group, everybody knows that, everybody knows that people did not work, but you have no way of differentiating between the one from the other. So this is something which the management feels is a liability. It means that people are not working, but you are paying them. And the management is also looking at other things. It has to provide a safe working environment. So why do you think a company is very bothered? This is a very practical. I'm not talking from an idealist point of view. So initially I was a little idealistic, saying that this person is going to lose his livelihood, all that. But from the company's perspective, why is safety important? If a company can demonstrate that it does not have man hours lost because of accidents, its insurance premium comes down. It doesn't have to pay as high an insurance premium as it would have otherwise paid. So many of the companies are trying very hard, especially in America and all these places. The insurance, the liability is very, very high. In the event of somebody getting hurt in your premises, it may even be, in fact, I read an article, a thief went into a person's house, slipped and fell or tripped and fell, something happened. So he was saying this fellow kept a very unsafe area, so I got hurt. I need compensation. This was by a thief. Anyway, what happened, what the outcome of it will leave out. But this is the amount which is given for safety. If a person slips and falls in front of your shop because of ice which has piled, you have to pay compensation. If a person slips and falls inside your shop, you have to pay compensation. Why was that thing there that made him slip? So that's why if you see, whenever there's a rain, when you enter near our HR building into MB, they put a sign. Have you noticed it? Caution slippery floor. So this sort of thing you'll find a lot in the in places where they take insurance very seriously. Then other thing is we have to provide facilities. So every time you establish a labor camp, you'll have to see whether there is a TV set or something where a person can entertain himself. You have to prove at least that there is some entertainment facility, a place where he can eat, etc. Then you have to pay for social security. What is social security? Things like pension, provident fund, then ESI is there, employee state insurance. All these things are social securities which is given to that employee, which the management is asked to pay for. And the worst thing is, people feel that giving a holiday or a break is a big waste of money. Many times what happens in a construction site, you will not be able to work in the days when you expect work to be done. You will not be doing it because the road cannot be closed on a working day or something like that. Under such circumstance, people are idle for a very good portion of time, and and then you'll still have to give them other leaves. So people, many of the times, management is not very happy. Management will say these fellows are wasting time. They're simply chatting. All these things come into the picture. One of the things which normally happens is in a site, morning you'll have exercise routine, then at 10 o'clock you'll have tea break. So in some plants, people will say do not have tea inside the work premises for various reasons. So all the laborers will have to go out, and then to make them come back in, do you think it's an easy task? What is the motivation for him to come back? To go for tea, lot of motivation, but to come back? So these are the ways by which a management starts to get very upset. In fact, most of you are going to be representatives of the management in site. All of you are engineers. You are all going to get a work done out of people. You are going to work with people who are not wanting to work. How are you going to do that? Okay, I'll leave that to you. And if you look at it from the perspective of employee, probably you'll also have the same thing. You'll be sitting on a chair, you'll be muttering, all the people under me, they go for tea and come back. I cannot have tea. If I go for tea, all the fellows are going to disappear. So this is a real case, or this is the reality which many of the site engineers face when they go and stand for the first time. And if you sit in an office, you look for the peon. The peon is the king. He'll say, no, sir, VP called me, I could not come. You'll have to get some printouts very urgently to the courier office. Where is he? You cannot question. So this one, what happens as an employer? As an employee in the mid-level, you'll feel my boss is also unfair to me. I'm not able to get work out of the people down the line also. So this becomes a big weight on that part of the employee who's sitting. He'll say, I'm getting a very bad deal. Okay, people are not giving me what I deserve. I work harder than everybody. So I don't know how many of you think that somebody else is having a more comfortable life. Sometimes I feel okay. The boss is sitting in an Audi car while I'm having to go on a bike. Not fair. What work is he doing? So this is a thing which often happens to the employee. Anything you can complain about anything. Okay, the list is endless. Anyway, now we'll have a look at the construction workers. We have one of the largest construction workforce in the world. Unfortunately, about 95% of this workforce is unorganized. Okay, what is the difference between organized workforce and unorganized workforce? The organized workforce have a trade union to back them. So if suppose anything happens, immediately they'll say we are striking work. Government also will say yes, they are eligible to strike work because they are part of the trade union. But of late, in the interest of the country, many of the strikes and many of these disruptive activities are not allowed. But still, it is there that this small 5% of people earn much more than in terms of per capita income of these people in the organized sector. They'll be much higher than those in the unorganized sector, and those in the unorganized sector will only be the people who are actually doing the work. This is a little statistics which I got from Wikipedia. Now this is something which is a little important. see the figures, are you able to see the statistics? You will find that in 1975, 13.63 million people were there in public sector. All these fellows will get pension, and they really did not need to work. Whatever they do, they'll get their money. But today, I mean, at least in 2010, 11.45 million people were there in the private sector. Okay, so in the private sector, the moment you are found as dead weight, you can be terminated. Okay, irrespective of the company, however big the name is, private companies can always make you quit at any time. So this is the job security is very less in a private sector. Now you can have a look at this list of those who come under the migrant sector. I mean the unorganized sector. These are people who are in the migrant, those who are migrant workers. So why do they come for migrant work? So many of the farmers, they're leaving their jobs farming and coming for something in the construction work. This is the only industry that is actually absorbing all these people. And of course, debt bondage. If they take a loan, they'll be forced to work at very small wages, and also there is child labor. So this is some of the most. I mean, like these are some of the salient things. And most of these people are from the so-called backward states. Okay, I didn't purposely put it. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings in this, but people normally will migrate from their native state and go to some other state and shine. People from Tamil Nadu are working in Jharkhand and all these places as very good or very skilled workers. However, in Tamil Nadu, they don't seem to do very well. So basically, this is the essence of labor laws. Many laws have been formulated to protect the labor force. This include the people who are working in organizations. Okay. So the first thing is right against discrimination. What is discrimination? Saying that one person should not work because of certain criteria. He doesn't match my requirement. He doesn't match what I like. So that sort of thing is called discrimination, which is not allowed. The second thing is, of course, prohibition of child labor. Child labor kills the future generation, basically, and protection of wages. So by this, there is a certain amount only which can be recovered from the person's salary or other emoluments. Okay, whatever is given to them for the work which is done, and there should be a mechanism for redressal of grievances. So suppose somebody is not happy with something in the workplace, they should be having a place to express it. Okay, and the company is expected to rectify the fault if it is on their end. And the last thing, of course, to organize and form trade unions. Today, like the pilots of Indian Airlines, they are not allowed to form trade unions because they are told you are coming under a different category. So things like this are happening. Maybe the net will widen, and I am sure that engineers are not allowed to form trade unions. Okay, so if you start a company, I don't know whether you will be interested to allow engineers, fellow engineers, to form their trade unions. Here is a list of the important acts or all the things which have been done to protect the labor force. Many of them will get updated periodically. Okay, so basically you please have a look at these laws. Okay, for instance, you will find that law related to wages and workmen compensation, all these are acts which are important. These are all, usually the abstract of these is only a one page affair. Okay, so each of these laws which apply to an industry are normally posted on the notice board. For example, this Maternity Benefit Act, you will find that it is posted in every workplace. In every workplace, they'll see women should be allowed to take leave before and after the childbirth, and then also the other things like, if suppose a creche is required, and some other things are also coming under this purview. So you cannot cut their salary because a woman is gone to deliver a child. So again, things like child labor. What defines child labor? What are the working hours permitted for a child? That is also given. And then how to give compensation for work which is done. Okay, like what are the modes? What are the things you have to do for the employee? Then there is also the thing like, if suppose an employee starts to get riotous, he starts to beat up all the people around him. So there is a provision to take from his provident fund and some other funds. But how much can be taken? How is it to be taken? All of them are well defined. For instance, you'll have to have an committee sitting. You'll have to investigate the case and then decide the punishment. So these are some of the laws related to labor. And this is the reference which I have actually, this is the major reference which I have used. So with this, I will conclude this session. And if you have any questions on this,